Welcome to the American Small Business Lead Podcast. I am Bruce DeTorres, and with me is Anna Wilding, running for Congress as a Democrat in California's 32nd District. Anna grew up in the district, and she lives there now. And she's a proud American citizen, a first-generation immigrant with a diverse record of executive success spanning government, business, the arts, entertainment, technology, energy, and crisis management. Thank you very much for joining me again, Anna. How are you?
Bruce, honored to be here. I am well. Just got off a heated forum debate last night that was fascinating and uh, went well. Went very, very well. So that's good. I'm good. Thank you.
Well, great. And in our 30 so minutes, let's start at the top, the basics for people maybe meeting you for the first time, but also for us to capture a great video that you want to send everywhere. Talk to me about two things: you, then your district, or your district, then you. Maybe you and why you're running, and then teach me where the district is and the best things you want to put front and center, what you want to do for your district, maybe.
Sure, of course. One of the main reasons I'm running is, of course, for change. I think Congress needs significant change right now. I have signed the short-term Congress pledge that Congress people can stay in no longer than 10 years. I am challenging a 28-year incumbent who has turned out to be pretty much a single platform, single policy incumbent. I respect his tenure in Congress, but at the same time, because I've held government to the account at the highest levels as a senior White House correspondent, so I know the amount of work and energy it takes to be in that environment. So I respect anyone who has stayed in that environment, but at the same time, we need significant change. And I think a lot of these long-term Congress people do need to be retiring. And, sometimes we have to force their hand, unfortunately, because they do not retire. It's the way the system's set up a bit, I guess. So that's one of the reasons why I'm running. I'm a senior White House correspondent. I've also got 20 years in the movie industry as a director and producer and writer. I have founded a non-profit. I founded a non-profit that ran for 10 years and led through one of a few leaders that led through one of the worst earthquake disasters in the world at the time. That was in Christchurch, New Zealand. There was a film made on that. People can go and see it and see some of my work on that. I have advised Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies, both in the United States and the Middle East and the UK. And I founded a skincare business, bricks and mortar, that went to #1 on Amazon, as well as being in bricks and mortar. So I have a very well-rounded list of experiences to bring to Congress. And I'm often told, and just humble, I say this humbly, but I am considered one of the 2 or 3 people in the race with the most experience and expertise to bring to Congress. So, yeah.
And tell me and describe and teach us, where is the 32nd District in California?
The 32nd district is about 1,000 square miles. It runs from Malibu to North Beverly Hills to Sherman Oaks to most of the San Fernando Valley, including parts of Burbank, North Hills, Studio City, Winnetka, Tarzana, parts of Calabasas, parts of Agora Hills, parts of West Hills. It includes Simi Valley. It includes Chatsworth, Canoga Park, and lots Reseda, and a lot of other areas as well. It's absolutely huge. We have 491,000 registered voters, and we have 750,000 constituents, many of whom I hope also join in the voting process.
Is that considered the Hollywood Hills also in there?
Not really. We have a little bit of the Hollywood, well, the more like the Beverly, North Hills, Bel Air, Beverly Glen as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that's bordering really the West Hollywood Hills. Just
Right.
it's a huge district. We have 2 fire zones. It includes Pacific Palisades. So we have two of the worst fire zones, which of course were Pacific Palisades and Malibu. And indeed, I have an event up in Malibu coming up this month. And it also includes some of the richest people in the United States, and of course, a really big, huge chunk of working and middle class people that make the city run. And that, of course, I'm talking about San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, and that your district had the fires in Palisades in January 2025, right?
Yes, we had those big ones in our district, Malibu and Pacific Palisades. And prior to that, our district has had the Wolseley fires and a whole lot of our other fires that come in down the back through Simi Valley. We were redistricted. Um, Obviously, that has affected our borders, so we now incorporate Simi Valley and all its issues as well. And actually, one of its biggest issues is the Santa Susana Field Laboratory, which was the site of a nuclear toxic disaster in 1959, I think it was. And it spews out cesium, is it 137, plutonium 259? And they haven't been able to fix it yet. Like, it's still toxic. The land's still toxic. And so the Department of Energy has managed to clean up Savannah River, Tennessee, Idaho, but this site has not been cleaned up because it's owned by Boeing.
Where
And
where
Boeing,
where is I'm sorry, where finish your point. I'm sorry.
yeah, Boeing owns this site and has been blocking the courts repeatedly from cleaning up the site. It currently only has to clean up 10% of the site. And one of the candidates, turns out, the incumbent says the other candidate, whose name I won't mention, owns $215,000 worth of Boeing shares. So again, we're coming into conflicts of interest. He has since said that he sold them since the campaign, but he claims he didn't know he had them. Imagine being that rich that you didn't know you had $215,000 worth of Boeing shares. That would be nice.
Where is this toxic site?
This toxic site is basically right in LA. It's actually Ventura County. It's right at Simi Valley. So it leads from Simi Valley down through Box Canyon, down through West Hills to Calabasas, which is just over the hill by 6 miles from Malibu. So it's actually very close to major residential areas.
My God. Okay.
And it's not received enough publicity. Obviously, locals have been talking about it for years, but again, it's like these Superfund sites that people hear about that they don't really know where they are. But this is the Santa Susana Field Laboratory, and it's a disaster.
Are there homes literally on the ground that is
Right
contaminated?
next door.
Right next door.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And
the
yeah.
ground is obviously it's fenced off, and right next door there are homes. Yeah.
Is there documented elevated incidents of illnesses?
Um, yes, I have to look more into that. Yes, people believe so. And what has made it worse is when the fires happened, it kicked up, like the Wolseley fires and the later fires, it kicked up the toxins from the ground into the dirt and started spreading them over the valley. And they're still getting data from that, but data has showed an increased rate of sickness, breathing problems, and things like that. So it's a disaster, and Boeing has all the money in the world to fight this. And if I am elected Congresswoman, I will get it done because I know the players. My husband worked in one of the Navy nuclear labs, actually involved in site cleanups. We know the players. We know how to get this done. And if I'm elected as Congresswoman, I will get this done, and Boeing will not get away. In fact, I am going to put a cap on toxic emissions from oil and gas companies as well. We have another site, not in my district, actually in Ted Lieu's district, that's been spewing. It's an oil refinery that's been spewing toxins out. All these corporations need to have a cap put on what they can emit and how long they can take to clean up sites that have been contaminated.
What's a great example from your experience that further demonstrates your ability to be successful as a congresswoman?
Well, I think I've got a very frank attitude, and I think I have a lot of investigative power that really gets to the nitty-gritty. So I really like to deal. I don't like to put a bandage on things. I really like to get to the source of the problem. Everyone's talking about housing. I established early on that was the number one issue in our district. But I didn't just go, well, housing and say some words about it. I actually went and investigated the laws. I investigated the rent control laws. I investigated everything to do with housing that could be causing this housing crisis as well, which in turn, ultimately, at the very end of the scale, causes the homelessness crisis that's happening in LA. And, if certain governors hadn't written laws that benefited property developers, where they get tax breaks if they leave their apartment, if they can't rent their apartment, then we wouldn't have had this domino effect of now people unable to afford decent housing. I mean, I'm talking about working class, middle class Americans cannot buy houses, cannot rent decent apartments without paying $3,000 to $4,000, which is way beyond the means of an average salary. The maths isn't mathing, and we need to fix that right at the root of the problem. We also have a problem there with a lot of large corporations coming in, buying up all the single family residences, buying up all the apartment blocks, not listening to, just evading rent control laws if there are them. Putting people in very insecure situations in terms of roofs over their heads. And, when it's large corporations, their attitude is so sue us, right? Now, what single working mother with a young child has the time or even the wherewithal to go and spend their time battling a division of BlackRock or whoever it is for over their housing, over their roof over their head? It's a terrible situation we have in California. I'm going to be open. I'm not a Gavin Newsom fan. I think in terms of Southern California, he has contributed to its demise in housing areas and things like that. And it's going to take a congresswoman like me who's going to stand up and have the guts to take on these corporations and fix a problem right where it starts to get things done. And I don't see that in any of the other candidates at all. I mean, they haven't even researched what the real problems are.
Right. And into this housing issue, I've looked at your website enough over the last couple. This is your second appearance with us, so I'm familiar with your website, but I'm still going to ask.
It,
Do you have a description of the housing solution you would work for?
I do. I have it in part on my website. I find that um, I keep some stuff a little bit close to my chest, right? So
Right,
I can
right.
move forward and take care of things. So I tend to put part of the solutions on the website. Some candidates don't put anything on their websites because they don't know all the problems or how to fix them. I've got the expertise to actually go in and fix them. Brad Sherman,
Absolutely.
for example, has taken $1.7 million from the real estate industry.
He's the incumbent opponent you'll be
Yes,
facing.
who I'm challenging.
Who you're challenging.
The other guy who has, the other guy who I also keep, yes, um, being a stronger speaker then as well, he has hired a lobby firm and has taken so much money from lobby firms. He's the one with the Boeing share. He doesn't even know what he owns or doesn't own. So this is
Hmm.
becoming a very interesting race because I'm very much a grassroots candidate. I'm taking individual donations. I'm not taking lobby money or PAC money. Um, uh, I haven't taken APEC money or J Street money. That's a big issue in our district. And
Hmm.
because we have this one policy incumbent, right? And
Hmm.
so the district is like, we don't want anyone who's taken APEC money. Brad Sherman's taken over $700,000 dollars worth of APEC money. So, and the other candidate's taken J Street money, which is the same version. And
That's what you imply. That's what you're implying with by saying J Street.
J Street is another organization like from APEC.
Okay.
It's another organization. And
Thank you, because I thought it was referring to literally a street in Washington D.C. with many, many
all
lobbyists.
right.
But you clarified it. It's almost the same. It's the same point, but I'm glad we clarified
Yeah.
that. Yes, yes, yeah.
So it's just a matter of getting foreign money out of politics, or even if it's domestic a little bit in terms of J Street, it's
Right.
just not having that pressure on candidates to vote for Israel ahead of America, really, at the end of the day, right? Like to actually put America first, right? So
Yes, and that
yeah.
doesn't imply any lack of love for any other nation or any other type of people. It just has to do with the crisis of so much of our tax dollars serving horrible projects, the military industrial complex,
Hmm.
etc. And we are crumbling and struggling and literally, in many ways, starving here in the United States.
Yeah, exactly. We've got to start
Yeah.
being much more prudent about how our involvement in foreign wars happens. Of course, we should have gone to Congress first with this war in Iran. And I
Yes.
won't drill down too much on that. Obviously, I thought Netanyahu overreached in Palestine without question, and we do have to start reining this involvement in foreign wars in. And again, diplomacy first. I mean, what happened to good old-fashioned diplomacy? I mean, we're supposed to have some of
Uh,
the brightest minds in this country. Where are they being diplomatic? I mean, let's shoot
well,
those
yeah,
resources, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
Your district has to throw someone like you into Congress to be a rational and intelligent adult, mature, who will do one and one thing primarily 99% of your efforts, which is to serve your district.
Mhm.
Talk more about what you promised to do for your district.
Well, for Sud, I promised to have offices throughout the district so that I can always be in touch with the constituents and they can be listening. We are a huge area. Even for my campaign now, I have an office here and an office over in Sherman Oaks, because we're such a huge district.
Where's here? You just said here. Where's here?
I'm in Malibu right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
This morning in April, I'll have a dual office in both areas. So Sherman Oaks is a 45-minute drive from here, an
Mhm.
hour-long drive from here. That's how big our district is.
Mhm.
Um, we have so many issues in our district. So we have, of course, the fact that we are still mitigating the fires. We have the fact that not only are we mitigating the fires and the relief efforts, we have a problem that they shouldn't have happened in the first place. And why were firefighters not equipped with the tools they needed to get the job done? Why could they not get water out of the hoses? This is basic. These are tools that firefighters need. Water. It needs to be running, right?
Hmm.
So the other matters with the district is, of course, the toxic cleanup. The ocean floor in Malibu is full of sludge, toxins from the fires in Malibu. Now, the big wave, Malibu's a surfing town, coastal community. It values a clean ocean. Tourists come from around the world for that clean ocean to come surfing in Malibu, along with the Beach Boys, It's iconic, right? So one of my coalition partners I'm working with, in fact, they have a meeting with the city manager in Malibu this afternoon about processes to clean up that sludge on the Malibu seafloor. We have state, local, coastal commissions, town planners all fighting with each other over how to issue permits, what should be done. The solution is not that hard. You bring everyone together in a room, the architects, the town planners, the local councilmen, the state councilmen. You bring everyone together, plus the public, to discuss how the rebuild is going to work, what the constituents want Malibu to be going forward. It's not going to be exactly the same. My hometown was destroyed by earthquakes. The same with the Palisades. It's not going to be exactly the same. So, what do you want? Like, how do you shape it? At the moment, those meetings have not happened. In fact, there's an attempt at one because I've been talking about it up in up in Pepperdine University, and guess what they're doing? I think it's abhorrent, but they are charging the locals to go to a meeting about their own destroyed fire district. I mean, who
Who-
does that? I mean, it makes
That
no sense.
that kind of meeting, who's the sponsor of that meeting?
I think it's architects, it's the university, and it's a local council of some sort. I mean, it's just extraordinary. They're charging
All right.
$55 or $100 to attend, and it's absurd. These should be open door meetings in the town hall. These should be town hall meetings.
Right. You would imagine uh trying to remember what America was designed to be and what we had
Mhm.
been in our best areas and phases, that some jurisdiction like the governor or this the Senate representing federal and also Congress, and then the local community, county, and then town would be the sponsor thereof of these kind of
Mm-hmm.
solutions as the referee for private interests, as opposed to what you just described is private interests are in charge, which
Yeah.
represents the further sellout of the referee. Government at any level is supposed to represent our interests,
Mm-hmm.
period.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my impression of the fire is that it was the result of a criminal negligence from the local to the state. You tell me if at the federal level,
Mm-hmm.
demonstrated by no water. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's Exhibit A. And then since then, the mitigation, as you called it, has been another cluster beep of
Mm-hmm.
inefficiency, if not criminal neglect. Is that more or
Mm-hmm.
less how you see it?
It is. Listen, so there were a lot of fire relief projects and fundraisers. Those funds have gone missing, and there was a call, and we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. One charity alone was 80 million of dollars that was done in conjunction with the state. That went 50 million of it went missing. Apparently, it went into Gavin Newsom's wife's charity. I haven't fully researched that, but that is what the talk on people say. Hundreds of other millions of dollars have gone missing. Uh, Apparently, Gavin Newsom was passed a bill last week or the week before to investigate all the missing funds for fire relief, and he vetoed the bill. He said there's going to be no investigation. So that is
Yeah,
what we're
he's
dealing with
yeah.
in California. It's absolutely it has to change. And
All
one
right.
of the best things I can do in Congress is to bring in legislation or remodernize legislation where state and local government, there is a path for them to hold people accountable, right? There
Yeah.
must be a way to hold states accountable when so much money goes missing. So I actually, I did actually put some feelers out to I covered the Trump administration as well as the Obama. But in disaster zones, you have to work with everyone, right? You have to work with everyone. And I suggested that they needed a government, more funding here because FEMA's been diminished, more funding here. And I understand that the current administration did suggest to come down and give more funds to this spot. And again, he was vetoed. He was basically told, oh no, but we don't like you. So no, we don't want your help. And yet they've been screaming out for his help for months. So,
Vetoed from Governor Newsom.
well, not vetoed
Well,
officially,
I
like
know,
the
but
thing,
rejected or you're right.
rejected by the Democrat. I'm running as a Democrat, but soundly kicked out by the Democrats. It's like, we don't want your help. Well, you've just been screaming and complaining for the last year that you wanted the help, right? And now, this is politics in California. It's not healthy. I would say it's as toxic as the fires, to be honest,
Yeah.
what's happening on the ground here. These communities should have started having a much stronger rebuild by now. Um, it does fall into the same patterns as the earthquakes in New Zealand, except there's been no local government or state government that's done their part, as we were saying. And that's been the problem. They've been bickering amongst each other, not getting permits issued. They've slowly started a very slow permitting process. The insurance companies have run out of money. That happens every time. I've seen it happen in disaster zones around the world. There are basic things that didn't happen. So
Yeah.
in Haiti and New Zealand and Fukushima, they all happened in the same, few
Mhm.
months, or the other earthquake in Japan. There are ground crews that go in to clean up the mess, the falling buildings, the toxicity, everything that happens when a town is destroyed or a city isn't destroyed. You can imagine the toxins that are coming out of those buildings, out of the grounds. So there are professional crews that come in and clean those up, right? That did not happen.
Has it
That
happened yet? And it still hasn't happened.
It still hasn't happened. There
Okay.
are still
Okay.
half
Yeah.
buildings in many places, or else it's fallen on the homeowners to do it themselves. Yes, the homeowners are responsible for some of it, but usually in a disaster zone, there are large corporations that come in, they strike a deal with the state or the city or the government
And they
to
get busy. Yeah.
and they get busy. And there has been nothing here.
Anna, allow me to pivot with you
Mhm.
into the next few coming weeks. You have a June 2nd primary, do you not?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I expect everyone who's meeting you here on this show has already fallen in love with you and wants you as the
Oh, thank you.
representative. What do you say to folks in the district about how they can help between now and the primary?
Look, I really need many more grassroots donations. I'm going to give you some things we've got coming up. We have something called Town Hall Tuesdays that happens every second Tuesday or every Tuesday. We have one next week at 7 p.m. You can go onto my website to get the link to join into that Town Hall Tuesday. We discuss housing and everything like that.
What
We have
date is that? April what?
April the 14th.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're door-to-door canvassing on April the 12th. We have a party and fundraiser silent auction in Malibu, $25 and plus for tickets. At one of the few houses that survived one of the worst districts in Malibu, and it's full of all this iconic art and like Andy Warhol sign cans and stuff. So that host has graciously lent her house for a fundraiser. Again, go to my website, wildingforcalifornia.com. We are battling two candidates with a lot of lobby money who do not know this district and who do not know really what it's going to take to do the work to get this done.
And people should go to these fundraisers to meet you.
Yes, to meet me, well, it's not about meeting me, it's about sharing their issues in the district. So I know more and more about what to focus on. So go to Wilding for California. Come to the fundraisers. There's another one on May the 2nd. You can also email into the site. You can donate through Act Blue or through red widgets on the site. I will say, if I can be very open here, I have donors who don't want to use Act Blue, right? Because they're not fully trusting Act Blue, so they prefer to use the red widgets. It's about 50-50, but we need many, many more grassroots donations so we can reach out to this huge district of 491,000 people, at least which we want to target 200,000 of them. So just
Yeah.
more and more donations would be the most helpful. If you want to sponsor a debate or host an event, please also email in.
Yeah. And I have the impression, tell me if you concur, that a first-time person running for a seat in the House uh, wins maybe the second or third time that they run. Okay. But someone with your talent, skill, passion, intelligence, energy could go over the top this year if enough in the district donate, help, volunteer, canvass, make phone calls, knock on doors, get petitions. I don't know if you need petitions. The point being,
Yes.
if anyone wants to interrupt the complacency of their routine and help someone like you get to Congress, you are that person. Yours is the district. And the time is now to go to wildingforcalifornia.com and see all of that. I've got to ask you about our small business goals as you've learned them the last time we talk, and how they're resonating with you and people in district. How you are talking about them, or learning how important they are to your district. I'm all ears.
So we have a huge small business district. We have so many small businesses in our district. And when I bring up the fact that small businesses can access federal funding and are supposed to be able to, and a greater percentage is supposed to be awarded to small businesses out of federal funding, they are wide open with
It's
air.
and it's not funding awards. It's contracts for
It,
work.
it's, it's
Okay, right,
contracts.
right.
So 23% supposed to go to small businesses. Is that correct?
Yep.
And what, 5% do, or 3%?
That's our opinion and impression, but it is way
Yeah.
less than the declared victory. Yes, every year we're told, oh, we passed the 23% goal. It's really 25, 24. There's no way that that's true. People can learn all about it at asbl.com.
Right. So I've also been sending people to the website, but also one of my initiatives I want to bring in if I'm elected as Congresswoman is to educate people on all the data that's out there, including what the work that you're doing and how little support they are receiving, but how much more they could be receiving. But it really takes the battle of the whole community, right? Because as you know, what these large contractors, the government turns around and says, well, there's not the people experience. Well, there are the small businesses experienced in all those contracts. They can definitely fulfill them. They just don't know about them. It's all
Hmm.
hidden. So we need to
Hmm.
really, really educate. That's really, really important. And unfortunately, every day in my district, whether it's cleaners, whether it's car washes, whether it's restaurants, they're considering leaving because it's so hard doing business in California. Newsom is taxing everything, right? To fill the shortfall, he's taxing everything. Newsom, the governor who sits up there and says, well, I've taken it from the fifth largest economy in the world to the fourth largest economy in the world. Well, great, Governor Newsom. Where is that? Where is that money, right? Because he's left it in Silicon Valley or else lining the pockets of whoever he wants it to line. It hasn't reached Southern California. It hasn't reached a lot of
It
California.
hasn't reached the empty hoses of the fire department, so they can't put out fires.
Yep, it hasn't reached anywhere. So I actually want to go and hold Silicon Valley to account as well and shame them into humanity, into giving something back. I'm working with a major coalition partner, which you may not know, called the National Infrastructure Act. It worked really, really well, sort of 1920s and 30s and 40s. This is where we built most of our great dams and bridges and everything like that. Brad Sherman ignored them. So they chose me as the candidate to work with directly. They need about 100 more signatures to get this bill passed in Congress next year. It's going to bring 5 trillion into the economy, 600 billion into California. And as Governor Newsom is not doing his job, states are going to have to look to resources like this to get the jobs done in their states. All our infrastructure is falling apart. That's going to bring jobs to our film industry. 60% of 259,000 film industry workers are unemployed. They need to be retrained and reskilled into new jobs, clean energy, manufacturing. I'm going to start bringing all those jobs back here, and I'm going to hold Silicon Valley to account. I'm going to go up and have meetings with every single one of them in offices. I've met this in conferences before in Wyoming a few years ago. There is no shred of humanity in any of them that I've met. They have got to come back to being human centric and putting humans first.
Anna Wilding, wildingforcalifornia.com. What would you leave us with, Anna?
I would leave with the fact that you guys are doing a great job. Everyone go and check out ASBL.com, learn about small businesses, learn about federal contracts, learn about what the small percentage women in small business get, and learn about how to fix this problem. The ASBL are doing a great, great job. And I thank you so much for hosting me, Bruce. It was great.
I'm just honored to know you and look forward to staying in better touch and keeping tabs on you between now and June 2nd.
Yeah, I'm updating my website quite a bit. So there's all the info about the next event coming up on there as well. So look, let's just reach as many voters as possible. Let's make the change. I got endorsed by the Progressive Democratic Club. I am the only moderate, progressive, practical candidate in the race, I believe, and the only one that can't be bought and sold by lobby firms. I'm there for the people. I'm there to get things done. So let's make this work.
Wow, fantastic. Stick around for a second after I kill the recording. I want to thank you for joining me and thank everybody for watching and listening today.